It's the same old thing as yesterday.
Welcome to the House of Pain, brought to you by the ARP Wave Clinic. Now, along with Dennis Thompson, here's your host, the common man, Dan Cole.
Greetings and good morning and welcome to House of Pain here on The Fan. This is our 7th episode of the House of Pain. I'm the common man, Dan Cole, and with me as always is Dennis Thompson. He is the founder of the ARP Wave System. I get a couple emails once in a while, Dennis, from people that call it ARB or whatever, because sometimes I don't enunciate clearly. A-R-P as in Paul. ARP, I'm going to say that from now on. P as in Paul, the ARP Wave System. What's the difference between the ARP Wave System and physical therapy?
Well, the comment, and it's good seeing you again, the difference between what we do and what physical therapy is we're a bridge before that happens. We created a system, which is, as you mentioned, a three-part system. And that system is designed to speed up the recovery of any type of injury or any type of surgery, as well as prevent either athletic injuries and or repetitive task injuries. And there are three components to it. The first component is, and it's built on a very simple premise, all injury happens because of one fact, and that is the body's inability to absorb force. So if you can't absorb force, you're going to get hurt. And what we do is we identify in step one, is your body able to send the appropriate electrical signal to your muscles to where they'll turn on fast enough to absorb force. And we do that, if you remember, we had you see the doctor, and what they did is evaluated to see if the muscles were turning on fast enough to act as a shock absorber for that force, so it would be absorbed by the muscle and not the elbow, in your case, as an example. So once we've identified that the nervous system is firing correctly, and I think that's a huge component in the difference between us and physical therapy, is we're looking at it neurologically and neuromuscularly rather than physiologically. In other words, we're not looking at your joint mobility and things of that nature. Step two is we know that there's been probably a lot of damage caused to tissue not designed to absorb that force. So step two, we use a tool called the ARP, A-R-P, as in Paul, as you were saying. And what the ARP is an electrical modality which allows us to stimulate the nervous system and stimulate the muscle to get rid of all the damage caused by the muscle not doing its job to begin with. Once we've done that, then we go to step three, where you're in right now, and that's the step to bring your strength curve back up to where it was before you got hurt. And keep in mind, the only reason you got hurt is you couldn't absorb the force. You weren't strong enough, or in your case, common, the muscle wasn't turning on fast enough to act as a shock absorber, so all the force and shock went directly to your elbow. Henceforth, you had symptoms of golfer's elbow. So our system is a three-step program, and I believe it's a bridge before you take medication for pain, and it's a bridge before you go to physical therapy. It doesn't discount physical therapy. You still go to physical therapy. It's just that we prepare you to do that and get better results.
At the start of your statement here, you were talking about the different things that ARP does, including prevents injury.
Correct.
How do you prevent an injury from happening?
Well, if we look at injury again as a very simple phenomenon, and that is that the body cannot absorb force. And there's two types of ways that the body operates. The muscular strength must be not overwhelmed. Like if you get hit by a bus, no matter how efficient your nervous system is, you're not going to be strong enough to absorb that force. So it becomes overwhelming. Unfortunately, we all think that that's what most athletic injuries are. And in my opinion, that's the furthest thing in the world from the truth. The issue that you had was not because you were getting hit by tremendous forces. It was because your muscles were not getting the proper neurological signal to turn on fast enough to absorb that force. And 90% of most athletic injuries fall into that category, and all repetitive task injuries fall into that category. Things like carpal tunnel syndrome, things like strains and sprains, those types of things are nothing more than the body not working correctly.
You've had all sorts of patients. I mean, thousands.
Yeah.
What would you say your most challenging patient was?
I would say it's in a category, and we'll call that category a spinal cord injury. Probably one of the most difficult things to deal with because it's not only physiological as well as neurological, but it's also psychological. And what I mean by that is that my partner, as an example, I think you met Jay Schroeder.
Mm-hmm.
Jay's probably one of the strongest men in the world right now, and at the age of 21 years old was paralyzed from the nipples on down. He had absolutely no feeling and told that he would never get out of bed. What Jay had to do is he had to create a neurological pathway to create in his mind the ability to see his muscle contract, fire. Once he could do that, then he could literally translate that vision into an activity in the muscle, and we call it creating a new neural pathway. Once he did that, then the next step would be to move. When we're dealing with a spinal cord injury, we're dealing with the inability for the body to process neurological information, and therefore it can't stimulate the muscle. So we use the ARP, the tool that we have, which is our proprietary tool, and we tell the patient, this is now your new brain. This brain, this electrical device, is now going to tell your muscles to turn on and turn off. Whether you can do it or not doesn't make any difference. This box, this electrical current will do that for you. And it's a long process. I mean, I had a patient that was 21 years in a wheelchair, and after a year and a half, we got him up out of the wheelchair. And the hardest part was getting their strength built back up to where they could literally stand up. But we got that done.
It's fascinating. You know, you talked about the tool that you use is called an ARP.
Yes.
What's the difference between ARP and, like, for instance, I've been to a chiro with a TENS unit, or in doctor's office you'll see electrical stimulation. What's the difference?
Well, the difference is how it reacts to the nervous system. Your body is direct current. If you look at the footprint of how your body creates energy, it's what's called direct current. Most devices out there now are alternating current. Alternating current is foreign to the body and sends alarm signals the minute, like you stick your finger in that light socket over there and you're going to get serious signals going on, and it'll probably kill you because it overwhelms the body. It's very, very detrimental to the body. However, direct current is not. It's commonplace to the body, so it doesn't send any alarm signals. But what the ARP does is it mixes two different signals, a neurological signal and a physiological signal. Without the neurological signal coming in and not sending you into a protection mechanism like your muscle cramps up on you very quickly, the thing that differentiates the ARP is it doesn't send that signal. So it allows you to move, where all other devices do not allow you to move because you can't move, because all the muscles are contracting at the same time.